Hey guys, happy Thursday. Welcome to the Thursday video. Today we got a review of an Audi TT, a first gen MK1 Quattro TT. So it's the 225 horsepower all-wheel drive model. I had a little bit of an oops when I did my filming. I accidentally filmed part of it vertical, and so it leaves a bunch of black space, so it looks like a cell phone video and it just looks disgusting. So the part of the video where I was going to show you the outside of the car is going to be missing, but other than that, we got a review video of the MK1 Audi TT Quattro. Enjoy. Hey guys, welcome to the Thursday video. We're finally in the Quattro. I promised this a few weeks back, and it got in a little boo-boo, got it all drift stitched up in the back, and we're ready to go. I've been wanting to drive one of these MK1 TTs for a long time. There's only a couple genuine reviews of these on YouTube, and my favorite one by far is from that dude in blue. Shout out to David Patterson, but that one was super modded, and I want to see how a stock one performs. This car belongs to my coworker Abraham, and really the only things done to it are wheels, and it's lowered on coilover. So that's about it. It's got some exhaust too, and we're gonna go see how it drives. Sun's in my eyes. Ooh, we got some squeaky brakes. I love the exhaust sound. Lots of spin. Still a little slick out here. Gonna have to be kind of careful. We are just spinning all over the place today. Pulls pretty nice for a little car that's fairly heavy with 225 horsepower. So the first gen MK1 TT is a car I've always wanted to drive, and I think it's the price point that validates that to me. You look at a car and you look at the interior. You don't get a car with this kind of interior, the looks that this thing has, and the performance. And you can find one of these Quattro TTs for $4,000 to $5,000 for a clean one. Oh, there we hit boost, and it actually pulls really nice. So it's just, in a world where you live in, to get this kind of car, you're looking at Evos and WRXs and that sort of thing. This car is priced way beneath those, and I think it's because of a couple things. One, I think it's the looks. As far as the looks go, I think this is one of those cars that it's kind of, you have to see it in person. It's kind of like when the FRS and the BRZ first came out. Everyone kind of thought they looked a little blah. They were sweet, but eh. And you see them in person, you see the stance and just how they sit. Oh shit. I killed it. I haven't killed a car in a review video since I did the Stealth, and that was my very first video, so that's a little embarrassing. But what I was saying is, you get in cars, and I think a lot of it had to do with the looks. People thought they looked kind of girly. So the all-wheel drive in this car kind of gives you this false sense of invincibility. Obviously the roads are a little slick today, but I just hit boost back there in third gear and I broke all 4 tires loose. And the whole car, it's a different sensation than breaking free in a rear-wheel drive car. The whole car shook, not just the back end thinking it was going to swing around. It was literally the whole car. But like I was saying about the looks, I think that's one of the things that prices this thing beneath a lot of other cars, is that it kind of, people think it looks girly, whatever. Well, I encourage you to look at one in person, because I think in person this car looks a lot better. It's just one of those cars where you can actually see the lines and how it sits. I think it looks pretty cool. And I don't think you get this kind of interior quality for the money anywhere else. I think one of the common misconceptions is that Audis fall apart and break all the time. I'd agree with that. As a technician, they're kind of hard to fix, and they're expensive to get parts for, and they're just a kind of a pain in the butt as they age. But the nice thing about this one is it's basically a Golf with a fancier skin. So a lot of the parts you can get for your Volkswagen to tune them and stuff like that will also work on this Audi TT. Shut up. Like I said, the TT has always been a car that I've been curious to drive, and it's kind of a heavy little car, and I think it does a really good job of feeling nice. The steering feels nice and heavy. I don't really like this shifter. The shifter is really kind of, it kind of feels like I'm tugging on one of my dog's chewy bones or something else. Let's use your imagination. But aside from that, the car makes good sounds. It pulls really nice for what it is. In a world where 400 horsepower comes standard on a lot of sports cars, woo! 220 doesn't really sound like enough, 225. But I think the size of this car, the all-wheel drive, and just the fun factor, you sit nice and low to the ground, and you got a manual transmission to bang your own gears. I think it's a fun car, and it's a car I've always wanted to drive. Little pull. I wouldn't say the steering feels like a Miata or anything, but it's very twitchy. It does a pretty good job. It's not quite that precise. It doesn't feel quite as tossable as like a Miata or an FRS or anything like that, MR2. But I think you got to remember what you're dealing with too. Those cars were a little more, those seemed to be just a little more focused. They were supposed to be a little more hardcore. They're a little more tossable. But where those cars lack is they didn't have a whole lot of speed, unless you got the turboed model, of course, with the MR2. Whoa, holy shit. Like I said, that all-wheel drive gives you a false sense of security, but especially when the roads are like they are right now, it's just not the case. It's just, you're still pretty squirrely. And it's a weird sensation because the whole car seems to shift. Like I said, it's not just the front or the rear, it's the whole thing. Do a little third gear roll on. And again, I think this kind of goes back to like when I reviewed the Boss 302. I said that car has enough power to where it's usable. Something like that 13 Shelby GT500 I did, it was so much power that you couldn't really get into it. Something like this, as small as this is, with 225 horsepower, you hear the turbo noises, you feel the torque a little bit when you rev it out. I think this is more, it's usable power, it's a fun car to drive. So, would this be a car that I would recommend buying? You know, if you're not scared of expensive parts when stuff does break, I'd say absolutely go for it. This thing's awesome. And you can get them for next to nothing nowadays. They're not expensive. You can get them for next to nothing. So I think this would be an awesome option for someone that just wants to play around and maybe has a tight budget. One other thing I like about the first gen TTs is they still had a manual transmission option. I think the new ones look cool. They look a little more masculine. They're a little more aggressive looking. The interior is obviously nicer. The performance is obviously there with the RS and the 5-cylinder. But most of those are paddle shift, and that's just not something that I personally am a fan of. I like to control my own gears. I like the third pedal. So yes, I'm a fan of the Audi TT. I think this is a car that I would love to own. I would love to have one of these things in my garage, and I just might do that. All right, guys, so thanks for driving with us in the Audi TT MK1. Hope you liked this short little review video. Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, comment. What do you think about the car? Is it something that interests you? Is it not something that interests you? Let me know in the comments down below. See you next time.